A lot can happen in a week. Some of it good, some of it bad, some of it downright ugly. When faced with intriguing developments in the week's news, we turn to a rotating panel of non-experts to parse the good, the bad, and the ugly of it all. On today's panel, Jessica Brown, co-director of Station Theater, and Charles Kuffner, who writes the off-the-cuff political blog. Jessica, Charles, welcome to Houston Matters.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Craig.
Panel, as you'll recall, in the days after Hurricane Beryl, creative thinking Houstonians frustrated with CenterPoint's limited outage tracking info turned to Whataburger's app to figure out what parts of town were without power. Well, they weren't the only ones who had to innovate on the fly. Houston's own Office of Emergency Management Director Tom Munoz admitted this week his office had to come up with their own power outage tracker map. As the Houston Chronicle reported Wednesday, the office historically used CenterPoint's outage map as what it deemed a crucial response tool. But that map went down during May's derecho and remained so as Beryl came through. Eventually, the office got info from CenterPoint on zip codes where outages were located and used the data to create its own map the day after the storm, but it did mean a delayed response. The office plans to resume using CenterPoints once an improved version goes live at the end of next month. It wasn't just all of us. Houston's Office of Emergency Management was mapless after Beryl, too. Is this good, bad, or ugly? Jessica Brown.
I mean, honestly, so much of it just felt ugly because it was such a crazy situation where so many people were without power and not able to track anything. But also, what does that say with the Office of Emergency Management being able to come up with a tool that quickly, but CenterPoint, who has all of the resources, not being able to do that? That's something that I think is a bit frustrating. I do applaud the efforts, though, of the Office of Emergency Management because I've been through some of that training and I've worked for city government and nowhere on the scale of the city of Houston, but it is not easy to do what they do and field all of the calls and, make sure that all of the citizens are taken care of. So the fact that they had people that were able to step up and create this and make this happen, it's fantastic. But also it was really good to know where you could get Whataburger when you needed it. I mean, that was definitely one of the things that I appreciated. Sadly, it was nowhere near any of the places that I was at that time. So.
Yeah.
All right. Good, bad, or ugly? Charles Kuffner.
I mean, obviously it's bad, and I mean, good that the OEM was able to adjust on the fly, but bad that they had to. I mean, for all the obvious reasons. And what I keep coming back to on this is, there's been a lot of talk about oversight, a lot of threats and promises from people like Greg Abbott that they're going to do something about this, and fine. But I mean, let's talk about what can and should be done, because this is the Public Utility Commission, all of whose commissioners Greg Abbott appoints, who are responsible for this kind of oversight on utilities like CenterPoint. And what sorts of things do we actually learn from this experience? I mean, we went through the supply end of the grid 3 years ago. This is more the distribution end of the grid. What have we learned? I don't feel like the state has done a whole lot. The legislature has done a whole lot to fix the actual problems that people pointed out following the winter freeze in 2021. What are we actually going to do this time? Because I agree that communication was an issue. Certainly the outage map was an issue. Mm-hmm. It is well within the power of the state to write rules, write laws that say this is what utilities must do and this is what happens to them when they don't. This is the sorts of things that they need to be prepared for. This is what the sorts of steps they need to take. For example, all the talk about they didn't have enough linemen in place or they had them, but they weren't trained ahead of time. Again, these are rules the state can create and enforce if they want to do that. So if we get, report from the Public Utility Commission, which is now investigating, although again, they're the ones who are supposed to have the oversight in the first place. So the fact that I guess they do have to investigate to find out what actually happened, but they should already have in mind what should have happened. And if they don't, that's a different problem. But if their report doesn't lay this sort of thing out, if the House and the Senate, which are also doing their own hearings about this, if they don't have this in mind, that they have the power to do this and they can make it happen, then we haven't learned anything and this is going to happen again. So that's what I really take away from this.
Panel, you can be forgiven if, in light of the dramatic news we've experienced in recent weeks, you missed the case of the incredible exploding soda cans on Southwest Airlines flights. The Dallas-based airline flies a lot, of course, out of, to, and through Texas, and in the summertime, that means airports that are, well, hot. Southwest also doesn't serve any perishable food, so it stores soda at those airports and not in refrigerated trucks like other airlines. The end result, according to the Washington Post, at least 20 flight attendants on Southwest flights have been injured this summer after soda cans burst and exploded when opened. The airline says it's aware of the issue and taking steps to keep its onboard beverages cooler. No word if that means flight attendants are being told to stick cans out the window at 30,000 feet. No frills flying sometimes also means exploding soda. Is this good, bad, or ugly? Charles.
Well, again, it's bad. If there weren't actual injuries, you could call it funny. I mean, exploding soda cans sounds funny to me, but not if someone is like, I don't know, getting shrapnel in the face as a result of it. This is another thing that, not unlike what we were just talking about, it shouldn't happen. It never would have occurred to me that an airline would be keeping soda exposed to the elements when it's 105 degrees outside. That just doesn't seem like a good idea. Even if explosion wasn't an issue, it's like Coke probably isn't going to taste all that good if it's been heated up like that before it's been served to you. So one could argue this may be something that, the FAA ought to look into as being, a matter of regulation, because it's a matter of workplace safety or, for that matter, passenger safety. Bottom line is it shouldn't happen. I guess you could also say that, given that Southwest has now abandoned its come one, come all, sit where you want policy in favor of assigned seats, that maybe this was a harbinger. The gods was warning them that they were stepping away from the natural order of things, and they're being punished for it. I mean, I'm not sure that I buy that, but it's not off the table.
It also does raise the prospect of Coca-Cola soup. Hot soda.
Okay.
Intentionally hot soda. No? You don't think so?
No. I don't think anyone's going to get a Michelin star with that on their menu.
Definitely not. No.
Diet Dr. Pepper sauce?
Oh, no.
No?
No. I have had Diet Coke that has been left in a car and it loses its sweetness. So then all that you have left is just whatever left is the taste of the Diet Coke that doesn't have any sweetener in it. It is not good.
Yeah, no, whatever illusion you need to have in your mind to believe that drinking diet soda is not somehow just, an assortment of chemicals that are bad for you. Mm-hmm. It goes away if the soda is not ice cold.
Exactly.
Because, yes, now you really feel like you're drinking a chemistry set, and that's just wrong.
Absolutely, which is one of the reasons why I stopped drinking Diet Coke, but I still have all of the caffeine in the world with iced tea.
All right, good, bad, or ugly, Jessica?
I think that it's definitely bad. Nobody wants anybody to be injured, especially when you're in the air and you have such limited access to, any sort of medical treatment. But, also, what if it does happen to one of the passengers instead of one of the flight attendants? Because, that opens them up to a lot of liability there. There have been opportunities where I've been like, can I have the whole can? But also, if you're going down the aisle and opening the cans, it could absolutely. Well, they don't actually take trays down the aisle. They have the trays, not the carts, if I remember correctly. I don't know. But definitely, I think that there's a lot of potential issues, and much less the uniforms you got to clean up, and stuff like that, and all of the soda on the floor, and just. I don't know. Maybe we just need to find a place that's a little bit more cooled to store them. I don't even know that it necessarily has to be that they're cold all the time. Just anything that potentially reaches 105 degrees doesn't seem good.
Keep them in the air conditioning at least.
Yeah, for sure.
Panel, we've long warned about the dangers of hot dogging it on the highway. And do we listen? We do not. Case in point, an Oscar Mayer Wienermobile struck another car and rolled over on a Cook County, Illinois highway Monday morning. It's not clear whether the brat driving the 23-foot-long car was to blame, and I sure don't relish suggesting it, but perhaps the driver could have mustered better skills and didn't have to try to catch up to the traffic ahead. Frankly, it wasn't the worst accident seen on roads Monday. Still, everyone, please learn from the Wienermobile and drive safely. The Oscar Mayer Wienermobile gets into a rollover crash. Is this good, bad, or ugly? Jessica.
Well, first of all of your wordplay is great.
Thank you.
I just wanted to point that out because you looked at us. And people can't obviously see that, but you looked at us for approval. And so I feel like you need that. And
I crave it.
Yeah, like A+ wordplay.
Kind of like a hot dog.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I'm not going to lie. I wish that I had seen video of this because it just seems like it would be funny. Again, knowing that everybody is safe, that's the big deal. But could you imagine, like, you would actually feel like one of those like 7-Eleven hot dog things where they have like the rollers. You would get to know what that feels like, I know it doesn't make any sense, but you could probably do the same thing just by rolling over. But it's never good when anything crashes. But could you imagine being the people that are behind just watching the Oscar Mayer Wienermobile turning over? And also, what happened if the horn got stuck? Because if I remember correctly, the horn plays the Oscar Mayer Wienermobile song.
Oh, wow.
And doesn't that seem like that would just be like comedy? I don't know. I really want to see that. I do not want anyone to get hurt. So
my traffic jam has a first name. It's
OSCAR.
Yeah.
All right. Good, better, ugly, Charles.
I mean, I have to admit, my first reaction to the story upon seeing it, I saw a still picture. There may have been video, but I didn't click on it.
I saw the still too.
But yes, my first reaction was to start singing the Oscar Mayer Wiener song to myself. And it's like, if you are listening to this and you are not old enough to know what I'm talking about, you're fine. You can Google it if you want. The rest of you, if you are old enough, this song is now in your head and it will be there for at least the next 24 to 48 hours. You're welcome and I'm sorry.
Oh, you mean I wish I were an Oscar Mayer Wiener.
That is what I truly like to be. 'Cause if I were an Oscar Mayer Wiener, everyone would be in love with me.
I was not going to sing it because I felt people would know it, but yes, that is exactly
Well, we
it.
had already set people up for the BOLOGNA, so we need to bring it back to the hot dog song.
Anyway, where was I? Oh, yeah, I basically agree with Jessica. As long as no one was hurt, it's funny, it's fine. And yes, the opportunity to make multiple hot dog puns, for which I salute you,
absolutely,
is an opportunity that should be taken, and you have done it. You have done well.
I am particularly proud of. And do we listen?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited about that. Also, one of the things that I didn't realize is that there is a group. For some reason, I had it in my head there was only one Oscar Mayer Wienermobile, which makes no sense. But no, they have a brat pack.
Of course, there's a brat pack.
You missed one. I just had to,
No, I had to.
He did say the
Oh,
brat.
no, I heard brat, but
I said brat instead of
yeah,
brat.
Yeah, which I was like, that's very Charlie XCX of you. So, nice.
I don't think that's what she meant by brat summer. I don't think so.
No, I don't either. But it does make sense too. I mean, cookouts.
True.
Jessica Brown is co-director of Station Theater. Charles Kuffner writes the Off the Cuff political blog. Jessica, Charles, thank you very much.
Thanks, you,
Craig. It was fun.